After World War II, European countries increased their efforts to live peacefully together on their small continent. To improve business and trade, 6 countries, Germany, France, Belgium, Italy, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands, came together in 1958 to create a common economy and currency. These countries agreed not to use trade barriers like tariffs, embargoes, or quotas with each other. This led to a more prosperous economy in these countries. As the years went on, more European countries joined this group called the European Union, or EU for short. There are currently 21 countries in the EU after the United Kingdom left. And there are other countries like Turkey that hope to join the EU. The EU worked to help create jobs in poor parts of Europe and pass laws to protect the environment. The group or union focused on the idea that all goods, services, people, and money should be able to move freely through the EU countries. Europeans no longer had to carry their passports when traveling between the EU countries. They could instead travel from country to country, much like the people in the United States travel from state to state.
Nuclear energy is the energy stored in the nucleus of an atom. Releasing this energy from the atom is what gives way to usable nuclear energy. The main way this is done is through nuclear fission. Nuclear power plants use nuclear fission to split apart atoms to form smaller atoms, which in turn releases energy and generates heat that typically turns a turbine. Solar energy, on the other hand, harnesses power from the sun. We can take radiation in the form of light from the sun and convert it into electricity. This is typically done through photovoltaic or PV cells, which are made of semiconductive materials like silicon. When sunlight is absorbed by PV cells, photons of light transfer that energy to electrons, which in turn creates energy in the form of an electric current as the electrons flow through the material. As such, solar energy is classified as a renewable energy source, since it is a source of energy that can theoretically regenerate and replenish itself indefinitely. While some argue that nuclear energy should also be classified as renewable, most agree that it is, more accurately, a sustainable energy source. This means that while nuclear power may not be seen as infinite, the rate that it is consumed is insignificant compared to the amount of the supply. It's like the kale of energy sources. There is only a finite amount of the stuff, but who would ever eat so much of it that the world would run out?
Evolution is a scientific theory used by biologists. It explains how living things change over a long time and how they have come to be the way they are. The Earth has been around for a very long time. By doing research on the layers of rock, we can find out about its past. That kind of research is called historical geology. We know that living things have changed over time because we can see their remains in the rocks. These remains are called fossils. So we know that the animals and plants of today are different from those of long ago. And the further we go back, the more different the fossils are. How has this come about? That evolution has taken place is a fact because it is overwhelmingly supported by many lines of evidence. At the same time, evolutionary questions are still being actively researched by biologists. Comparison of DNA sequences allows organisms to be grouped by how similar their sequences are. In 2010, an analysis compared sequences to phylogenetic trees and supported the idea of common descent. There is now strong quantitative support for a formal test for the unity of life. The theory of evolution is the basis of modern biology. Nothing in biology makes sense except in the light of evolution.
A sea breeze is an onshore breeze which develops around the coastlines of sea and even large lakes on warm days. In mid-latitudes, it commonly occurs during the spring and summer. This is when there is a large temperature difference between the sea and adjacent land areas. A sea breeze is a thermally driven circulation, forming due to the fact that the land heats up more quickly than the sea. Water has a higher specific heat capacity and so requires more energy to raise the temperature. As the sun radiates energy at more or less a constant rate, it will take longer for the water to heat up. This means that peak sea surface temperatures aren't reached until early autumn. This differential heating of adjacent land and sea surfaces is the main factor in the formation of sea breezes. A temperature difference of around 3 degrees Celsius is required for a sea breeze to start to develop. Other factors that are required for sea breezes to form are light offshore winds at around 3,000 feet. This aids the higher level flow out to sea to get the process started.
The Solar Energy Technologies Office, or SETO as we often refer to ourselves, supports innovation across the solar energy spectrum to reach lower costs of electricity and to support the transition to a decarbonized economy. We release several funding opportunities each year, and these funding opportunities come with topic areas that are designed to address critical spaces where we really want to accelerate innovation. SETO has a long history of supporting innovation in solar energy technologies, and these innovations, coupled with other advancements in the industry, have enabled solar costs to drop dramatically over the past decade, 70 to 80%. This is making solar electricity one of the cheapest forms, and in many areas, the country the cheapest form of new electricity generation today. It's critical that we continue to innovate and drive costs down further. Doing so will enable our electricity supply to be more affordable, and it will also accelerate solar deployment. The Biden administration has set a goal of 100% clean electricity supply by 2035. Solar is going to have a huge role to play in getting to that goal. Solar could provide as much as 40% of electricity in a clean grid. That's 10 times more than it's providing today. With the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, we see the industry poised for dramatic growth, both in deployment as well as in manufacturing, supporting good paying jobs and rapid growth toward our goal of having a clean electricity grid.